Early on with a 9-7 lead over Cincinnati. Gonzaga advanced with a win last night over Wisconsin, while the Bearcats handled Maryland. Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, Bill Raftery, delighted to have you with us. As you might expect, it has been an entertaining start to this game. Already 6 lead changes. The shooting's been a little bit off. Quick pace, and so far both teams settling for a lot of jump shots.
Well, Gonzaga very concerned with rebounding in this ball game. They feel the better guards. And we've seen that Cincinnati feels that the guards are a key to the ball game too, because they've been doubling Matt Bolden and Stephen Gray every time they come off a ball screen.
I love the way they're playing defense. The Bearcats really taking it to the Zags. Got to counter with some inside play, some dribble drive on that blitz.
There's a dribble drive and the dish off. Dion Dixon to the baseline to Yancey Gates, and he was fouled to tie it at 9 for Coach Mick Cronin in Cincinnati.
Dribbling at the zone. Sacre ends up with a little small change on the swipe here. But how about the use of dribble against the zone? So effective with great impact.
The penetration draws 3 defenders, and just the dump down to Yancey Gates. That was a really good attack of the zone, and Dion Dixon has done a terrific job in this tournament. He may not make the all-tournament team because he hasn't put up the kind of scoring numbers usually reserved for all-tournament selections, but he has been a very valuable piece to this Cincinnati puzzle.
And we haven't seen Bolden post up on Sacre right now.
Sacre, the foul a moment ago was his first, and Kelly Olynyk going for an offensive rebound, and he's called for a foul. He's just into the ball game, a freshman from Kamloops, British Columbia. Both coaches, when we spoke with them before the game, said the key of this game would be rebounding. Cincinnati's been terrific on the boards in their wins over Vanderbilt and Maryland. They came here with what a lot of people thought was the toughest draw, 2 ranked opponents, and beat them both, and for the most part had a comfortable working margin in both of those wins.
Out-rebounding opponents by 15 a game. That's extraordinary.
A lot of second shots.
Move it!
And those second shots usually high percentage looks.
They're going to reverse the ball. He's got to pin his guy.
Deontay Vaughn, their best player, missed a deep 3. Lots of slapping as the rebound was corralled by Olynyk. And it's a foul going against Cincinnati in their first ever appearance in the Maui Invitational, trying to win the title. The last first-timer to win it all here was Kentucky back in 1993. Mick Cronin has talked about what a key step forward this would be as he tries to bring the program back at Cincinnati. If they could win a prestigious early season title like this one, it might get Cincinnati back on the national radar.
Ball screen brings a double team to Bolden every time.
And Olynyk fired up an air ball from 3.
And look at Wilkes run the floor, too. Good recovery by Olynyk.
Deontay Vaughn across to Darnell Wilkes. He's off the bench, and he's on the score sheet with a 3.
Boy, is that stretching the D.
He has really improved. Good passer. He can knock down open shots. Long-armed, solid defender.
There's a junior out of Nashville. Blocking foul called as Bolden tried to dribble. They've been coming after him with double teams when Bolden's been handling it on the perimeter in the half court. Wilkes called for his second foul.
You know, they've got to run that little shuffle cut, getting him to the block, Jay. Bolden out deep. He's not as effective with this blitz.
And whenever they bring Sacre into the middle at the free throw line, they can run Bolden off of him, a little rub screen to get him isolated in the post for round 1.
There is the 7-footer, Robert Sacre, out to Stephen Gray. Now Matt Bolden, All-American candidate, guarded tightly by Lance Stevenson.
Forced back.
Yeah, right. So he hadn't had a touch where he was in the scoring position. A little bit frustrated.
Nice pass. Well, Stevenson has terrific hands. He's knocked loose a couple of balls that were...
He's going to be great, Jay.
Oh, he's got a chance to be great, doesn't he?
He sure does.
Dimitri Goodson. And now Stephen Gray.
Shot, huh? Forward left.
He's had a terrific tournament. Certainly a candidate to be the MVP. He had 27 points in their comeback against Colorado when they were 15 down and 1. They had 15 and 5 last night against Wisconsin. Gray and Bolden have both played 38 minutes in each of the 2 games. So we'll look for fatigue for any player 3 games in 3 days, but perhaps particularly for those 2. Gonzaga's had the closer games. They've had to use their regulars more minutes than Cincinnati.
They've got a mismatch.
And Dixon just grabbed on to Sacre.
The ability to go left is one thing, but then to still recover in an extraordinary fashion like that. And that's what the Zags can do on the perimeter. All four guys can penetrate and find, locate people.
And that's not a bad defensive job necessarily by Deontay Vaughn. You don't want to give up middle, but he really angled him out. That was a tough shot that was made by a complete basketball player in Stephen Gray.
Grant Gibbs has come in for Gonzaga. Olynyk out of bounds, and it'll stay with the Zags. I guess it will stay with the Zags.
They really look for Gray off out of bounds underneath plays. You have got to be alert to him, and sometimes it's going to mean the slip guy is going to be open.
Bolden, they got him a great pass the other night. Turn and face. Move your people. Good cut.
By Grant Gibbs in among the trees. The shot was off. Harris had a tip that wouldn't go. Vaughn leading the break, and the Bearcats have numbers. Bishop fouled by Dimitri Goodson, his first, and the team's third.
Cincinnati really looks fresh, don't they? Getting down the floor, being vertical. They can get Bishop the ball on the foul line, not settle for that Stevenson jump shot, and then go down to Gates.
Deontay Vaughn was looking inside. Sacre was leaning right on Gates. Vaughn has it back from Dixon and hits a three. Both teams have shot a lot of threes here in the first 12+ minutes. Cincinnati's taken 12 already and made 3, and Gonzaga's 1 out of 8. Elias Harris called for the charge. All 3 officials blew the whistle and had the same call. First foul on Harris, 4th team foul on Gonzaga, and a timeout. It's the Cats and the Dogs for the title in Maui. Cats playing great defense. Gonzaga 1 field goal in the last 5-14.
And you know, Sean, you notice Elias has the open jumper just like Goodson did earlier. If you don't make that, it's not going to set up the dribble drive. Excellent defense. 31% thus far on the season. They've held clubs to 37%.
Well, it's been even better in this game. They've held Gonzaga to 4 of 16 shooting. Matt Bolden has not yet scored in this game, and he's obviously a very key performer, being the leading scorer for Gonzaga.
Yeah, getting a little blow the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Bolden's had 21 and 18 in the first 2 games against Colorado and Wisconsin, respectively. Shot clock at 5 for the Bearcats. They need a shot. Gates didn't get it off.
Good challenge of the shot. Forced him to put it on the deck. Nick, I think if anything, the offense has been frustrating him a little bit. They haven't been coordinated.
That's the responsibility of the guards to get a shot. Yancey Gates not used to having the ball in his hands at the end of the shot clock, especially on the perimeter.
Grant Gibbs, redshirt freshman out of Marion, Iowa, and now Gray. And again, they double him as well.
Oh, what a great job. Look how far they're starting the offense. I get away from ball screen and
just go 5-out motion.
Yeah.
And they run kind of a flex motion.
And great defense by UC, and Sacre had to make a tough shot from the elbow with the shot clock running out. 4 points for the sophomore from North Vancouver, British Columbia, one of 4 Canadians on the Gonzaga team. Sometimes
you play great defense and a guy hits a really tough shot. That's exactly what happened to Cincinnati there.
Dixon.
Oh boy. Goodness.
It got saved, but it got saved to Larry Davis. And the Bearcats reset with a nearly full shot clock.
Nice to see Gates touch it inside.
I was just thinking the same thing. You got Gates in there. What are you taking long jumpers for? Give the kid a chance.
And Bishop moved inside. There's Gates.
The only way you got it, though.
Myself go up and get the rebound and put it back in. 5 for Yancey. He's just a sophomore. Sacre double team. Vaughn trying to rip it away, and they give him the held ball call. and he'll go back over to UC.
Well, usually when Robert Sacre makes that move, he's going to knock back his defender. Not with Yancey Gates. I mean,
how about that?
It's like running into a brick wall.
And nice help from the top by Vaughn. Good teamwork.
Sacre, 247 pounds. That's a heavyweight battle with Yancey Gates, who's 6'9", 260. Gates faces up and shot it over the corner of the backboard.
I'm not real happy with that. I'm not so sure if he's mad at Yancey or some of the guy Dixon on that, excuse me, Vaughn.
Coming up on Thanksgiving Day, quarterfinal action from the 76 Classic. West Virginia and Long Beach State on ESPNU. Texas A&M and Clemson on ESPN2. Minnesota against 10th ranked Butler. That's 8:30 on ESPN2. And Portland and UCLA to cap it off. The championship game of that event Sunday at 10 Eastern time. It's Long Beach State, coached by Dan Munson, the former coach at Gonzaga, who played a role in helping to get this program up and running and becoming the powerhouse now that has become in college basketball.
Well, Dan claims he's the architect of what's transpired. But he does have some credibility.
A ton of it. Gotta give it to him. Toilo's open.
Dixon just drove right by Elias Harris and then found Bishop wide open. And Dimitri Goodson at about 5'10" up there to get the rebound. And he got splattered at midcourt by Lance Stevenson. Might have been nice if Stevenson extended a hand to help him out, but he just glared down at him and kept walking.
I tell you, it is amazing. He just kept walking, showing great point. Tough-minded kid. It's like the old days. Part of the game.
You think he should have picked him up?
I think I would have helped him up. You don't?
No.
Just splatter him and walk away.
Yep.
Well, maybe
they got the foul call. What more do you want? You got teammates. They'll pick you up.
Maybe in some of your tough tennis matches that happens.
Bolden back on the court, and that's kickball. I look forward with my next trip to your lovely estate in Charlotte, Jay, visiting all your sportsmanship trophies that you've acquired over the years.
Doesn't say you got to pick him up in the rule book.
Bolden trying to get something going, and this has been the problem. They've just forced him to get the ball out of his hands. Goodson with the shot clock running out. They were looking for him to be more of a scorer this year. Stepping in as a starter as a sophomore, taking over for the third-year starter, three-year starter Pargo. And Goodson again got knocked down, that time on a screen out at center court by Darnell Wilkes.
He had been struggling 0 for 4 from 3. Boy, that really helps his team.
Goodson right up on right. He is a pesky defender.
They are very active.
Both teams working so hard at the defensive end. They had to get a long shot from Stevenson with the shot clock running out, and then Deion Dixon called for his second foul. 7th team foul on Cincinnati. It's been a physical first half here in Maui. Of the 2009 EA Sports Maui Invitational, big part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. Entering tonight's game, Gonzaga had 4 players averaging in double figures through the first 2 games of the tournament. And very little from Gray and Bolden tonight for the season. They're averaging over 36 points per game combined. They have 2 tonight.
Interesting to see what happens at halftime for the Zags, though, Sean, because this blitz is more aggressive than they've even seen all year, I would imagine. What wrinkles do they come back with? Whether they post up, do they run some sets? I would spread, as Jay said, and then step and go. Take away that aggressive extended denial.
But if they're going to continue to screen on the ball with Gray and Bolden, they have to pass out of that double team and then make that second pass. That's where the shot's going to come from, is the second pass, not the first pass out of the double.
Bolden made the first free throw, his first point of the game. Senior from Highlands Ranch, Colorado. Said one of the reasons he came to Gonzaga was the chance to play in Maui. He watched that memorable performance by Gonzaga here in 2005, the triple overtime win in the semis against Michigan State. Probably the greatest game ever played in this tournament. One of the best played ever anywhere. And then the memorable final as well when they lost to UConn.
Nice penetration. You know, Gates didn't get anything, but he got everybody's attention 2 feet from the box.
6 points for the freshman Stevenson, the Big East preseason rookie of the year, and Sacre is called for a travel.
Sacre just needs to turn and shoot. He's trying to throw his body into Yancey Gates, but a terrific individual play here by Lance Stevenson, showing the terrific agility, use of the left hand. He is an offensively gifted young player.
And Gates occupying everybody's attention.
The middle is going to be open. If they get it in the middle, they can look to dump it down or kick it back out. Then you're stepping into a three-point shot, and it's a lot better of a shot.
And Gates, nice little deflection by Bolden. Gates has got to do a better job sealing his guy, too, if they do get it in there. He can't be standing up and down.
Yeah, he has to be more active and calling for the ball.
Gonzaga through their first 5 games of the year, 4-1 with the only loss of Michigan State. They've only scored 16 points tonight. Through those first 5 games, they've averaged 80 points per game. Whistle away from the ball. And a foul against the Cincinnati defense on Darnell Wilkes. And that's 3 on Wilkes, a valuable defender and rebounder off the bench. Junior, 6'7", 205.
And Mark Few going back to Harris now. Get him involved in the game on that post-up situation mismatch.
And Gonzaga only with 14 fouls. They haven't really been put in a position to foul because of the jump shots taken by Cincinnati. It's not just the defense played by Gonzaga playing mostly zone. It's that Cincinnati didn't really attacked it. They just shot over it.
Well, Sacre's got, they don't want to get a silly foul now. They got Worcester up for him, but didn't convert the free throw.
2-3. Right now they've gone with a 1-2-2, but Sacre in the middle is 2-3.
There's a better job by Gates. Boy, look at him. Give it to him.
No, get out!
Instead of a 2-foot shot, he got forced to come out and get it.
Stevenson defended by Gray. Shot clock at 3. Deontay Vaughn, nice form on that 3-point field goal. And Cincinnati has opened up its largest lead, 7 points.
How about the shot fake and presence by Deontay Vaughn? Very well done.
A tremendous defensive performance, and you have to credit Mick Cronin and his staff with an excellent defensive game plan.
Oh, my goodness.
Is that an offensive foul?
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know about that one.
He just threw his body into Yancey Gates. He created that contact. It might have been a play on, but
I don't know about that. He was totally moving. You've got to establish at some point.
And Mark Few doesn't protest very much. Has walked all the way down the baseline, and he's still hollering at Patrick Evans.
Gates begging a lot better.
Because we talked too about these defensive wrinkles for Cincinnati. Gates the miss, and it is controlled by Manny Rupp, the freshman. Mick Cronin was saying before the game, one of the difficulties of 3 games in 3 days is you really don't have time to tell your team a lot about the opponent and put in a lot of wrinkles for the new opponent because there's so little time in between the games.
That's why all the fundamentals are done the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. You get back to your basics defensively and offensively.
But it really simulates your postseason tournament. The players love it because all they do is play.
What would be the chances that Gonzaga would have fewer than 20 points in the first half? That's a deep 3 to get Gonzaga to 19. Stephen Gray perhaps will give them a little momentum heading to the break. 2 teams playing very hard, playing great defense. They know what a prestigious early season title this would be to bring the Wayne Duke Trophy back to their school.
Vaughn with the great shot fake as the shot clock winding down. And then on the other end, Bill, this Gonzaga team, even though they have been shut down in this first half, has a lot of weapons. Stephen Gray among them.
Not on from deep, Sean. Maybe the spark.
Into the first half, Cincinnati leading Gonzaga 23-19. Here's Dari Noka in the studio, the UPS halftime report. year here at the Maui Invitational. The old Lahaina Luau Feast at Lele performs during halftime of the championship game. Very entertaining. The dancers showcase traditional music and culture, which contribute in such a big way to what makes the Hawaiian Islands so special. Special defense played by both sides in the first half. Cincinnati held Matt Bolden to 1 point. He's been averaging better than 18 per game. Stephen Gray has 5. He's been averaging better than 16 per game. And welcome back, Sean McDonough with Jay Billis and Bill Raftery. These two teams really got after each other at the defensive end in the first half.
They certainly did. Cincinnati was so strong, double teaming Bolden and Gray off of ball screens. The interior defense, where they're playing one-on-one in the post and digging down in case Zachary puts it on the deck. There's somebody there, Larry Davis, to take it away. Solid on the glass. And Yancey Gates, like a big wall in front of Robert Zachary, he couldn't score over.
Both clubs concerned about rebounding. I just like the aggressive defense. Gonzaga played a lot of 2-3 zone for Mark Few. Curious to see what they do on the ball screens at the other end on offense now.
Have to go back a couple of years till they had that low scoring a first half. Their low first half last year was 23 against Memphis, when they trailed the Tigers at the half of that game 40-23.
Gates did a great job standing Zachary up.
There's Matt Bolden beginning the second half with Stephen Gray, Elias Harris, who takes the shot. Dimitri Goodson and Robert Zachary also begin the second half for Gonzaga, and there's the first bucket for Harris, and he's averaged 12.5 per game so far this year.
Much better ball movement on the first possession for Gonzaga. They moved it from side to side, the ball screen, and then quick slip to the basket. Cincinnati, more than half their shots in the first half were threes.
Good hustle here.
And Harris rescued it, but didn't have anywhere to send it. Looked like Kashmir Wright slipped on the logo. They're running out of time to shoot. 5 seconds as Yancey Gates powers to the bucket.
Wow. Get out of my way. Boy, lower that shoulder. Steamroll to the tip.
7 points for Gates.
Double low stacks right now.
They missed him. They also missed. They had a perfect little roll to the corner for an open look.
Yeah, I'd give it to Harris. Let him go to work one-on-one against Bishop.
Where the Cincinnati coach has been very impressed with Harris as they were scouting Gonzaga in the first 2 games of this tournament. And there's an example of the talent that got the attention of the UC coaches.
Isolate him on one side. You can give it to him off the block. He can still get to the basket. Let him go to work.
Kashmir Wright out there with Lance Stevenson, Deontay Vaughn, Yancey Gates, and Rashad Bishop to open the second half for Cincinnati. 4-0 in the year. Trying to win the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Their first trip here. The miss by Vaughn. And Goodson so fast. Mark Few says end line, end line. Dimitri Goodson's the fastest player he's ever coached. And that's the second foul on Rashad Bishop.
And anytime you have an offensive end with Cincinnati not giving it to Gates, not a lot of good things happen. First issue, let him touch it. Get comfortable.
Hold up, Cash! Help him, Cash!
Jay, are you okay with Mark Few's footwear tonight, by the way?
I think he looks much tougher tonight than he did in the semifinals wearing those questionable sandals.
He got the Franciscan Friar shoes off, huh?
Gray turned the corner. They got stopped by Deontay Vaughn. Zachary set a screen for Bolden. Again, they blitzed Bolden, and Gray got stuck in the air. Vaughn was able to deflect the pass.
A quick pass out of the double team off the ball screen, but not a good job trying to make that second pass. That's where Gonzaga is going to be able to get a shot. The second pass out of the double team.
Got the mismatch now. See if they take advantage. See, Gates has got a beg and demand with Gray on him.
Kashmir Wright rattles home a 3. His first points. And the lead to 5 for Cincinnati. And again, Goodson so quickly to the rim. And he and Wright are chin to chin, and here come technicals on both of them.
Oh, and a punch over here by Twilight. They're going to have to look at the monitor.
They should.
I saw the arm extended.
that Sacre and Toiloy jawing with each other. The officials did a nice job getting in between Goodson and Kashmir Wright, calling technicals on both, but there's no question that they need to go to the monitor.
Yeah. And they will.
Wonder if Sacre might have pushed Toiloy in the midst of that.
Good hard basketball play, but then the woofing begins. And there's a little elbow to start it.
You can see that Sacre had put a little arm on Toiloy. And now here they are, to the right of your screen, behind the officials.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I don't like it, but I'm just saying better. Yeah, there's the arm I saw go out. Not a punch, fortunately.
A little slap fight.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to require anything other than a stern warning.
Right.
Sacre, son of an NFL tight end. His dad, Greg LaFleur, played in the 80s in the NFL. Tell you what, you understand why Goodson's a little tired. He has been knocked around like a piñata tonight.
That's the way it goes. I mean, you know, I'm not saying he shouldn't feel the way he feels, but you can't act on it. I mean, he got the foul called. What more do you want?
And a good piece of officiating at the end of this with Sacre and Toiloy. They're just excellent. And Terry Weimer spots this thing, and right away, that's great. Before it escalates.
I think this has been a very well officiated game. Terry Weimer, Patrick Evans, and Doug Shows. These two teams played good, hard, for the most part, very clean basketball, really defended each other well without fouling, and the officials have let them play. It's been entertaining to watch despite the low score.
It'll be interesting to see how each team comes out after this. Does this take away some aggressiveness from Cincinnati and the way they're guarding? Does it make Gonzaga sort of bow their backs a little bit more?
Kashmir Wright and Dimitri Goodson signaled for technical fouls, and then the officials are trying to figure out if there's anything else. As they do, we'll remind you that tomorrow night, Thanksgiving treat on ESPN. Texas State bragging rights and a lot more on the line. Colt McCoy and third-ranked Texas taking on Big 12 rival Texas A&M. Can the Longhorns stay undefeated on the road in a hostile environment? And the Aggies spoil Texas's drive for the national championship. Colt McCoy trying to build up that Heisman Trophy resume. College football primetime presented by Applebee's on ESPN Thursday at 8 Eastern Time.
Hostile environment. There's a lot of hostility going around, isn't there?
It's early.
Can't everybody be calm? This Maui's a calming place. Cool breezes.
I had to separate you two a couple of days ago. I mean,
Jay would give a putt.
We're going to get some info here.
Dissertation? Number 1 on the play, foul number 3. Personal foul.
Official Doug Shaw's over here to explain it to Bill and Jay. We're told from the table that Toiloy and Sacre also got 2.
Going back to the original play, and the reason we shoot 2 shots in the playoff.
Boy, that's nice.
That is very well done.
Double technical.
Could you tell us? Yes.
Well, you've got the foul. Dimitri Goodson was fouled by Kashmir Wright, so that's 1 foul. Then double technicals on Wright and Goodson. There's 2 more personal fouls, but those offset no free throws from them.
But 1 personal foul again for each of them.
Yes.
So 2 fouls on the play for Wright.
Exactly. 2 fouls for Wright, and then Sacre and Toiloy, double technical foul on those 2. They each get a personal foul, but no free throws because they offset. So 2 free throws right now for Dimitri Goodson. And then we play on.
I think that's well done.
Yeah, well done. Very well done.
I was just concerned about the extended arm. 1 game suspension, the second time TD.
Those were the first 2 fouls, by the way, for Kashmir Wright, the personal and then the technical. Dimitri Goodson missed the free throw. Goodson's a tough guy. His brother Mike, being at Texas A&M, started A&M and is now in the NFL with the Carolina Panthers. And Dimitri was a very good football player, defensive back. He had interest from some Division I schools, but elected to play basketball instead, obviously, at Gonzaga. He and his brother Mike are very close.
I'll tell you, Sean, you said it, and I think you're right. That was really well handled by the officials, start to finish.
Lance Stevenson fouled on the drive by Matt Bolden.
Boy, when he gets polished, this kid, he just has got a great body for this game. Stevenson's ability with the dribble. You mentioned earlier, we said it yesterday too, it does stick in his hand once in a while, and that will come too.
2 fouls on Bolden. Sacre blocks the shot, and then Bolden fouled on a reach-in by Kashmir Wright, who's hopping mad, and the Gonzaga fans are giving him a hard time after that exchange, in which he was in the center a moment ago, and all of a sudden, Wright goes from 0 fouls seconds ago to 3.
And when Wright was reaching in while trying to back tip it, you have to run through that ball. When you reach, that's when you're going to get called for a foul.
And he's lucky he did not get another tee. Look at the box area banging around. Stevenson this time on Sacre.
Well, they let him play in the first half, and you think now after the exchange they might tighten it up a little bit?
Nope, that's exactly what they're doing. The players have to adjust to it. So now touch fouls are going to be called, and that's just the way it's going to be for a while. You don't know how long, but it's hard to change the way you play with that short a time frame.
How do they adjust? I mean, it's almost impossible, basically.
2 fouls now on Stevenson. 16.5 to go. EA Sports Maui Invitational championship game. Cincy leads by 4. Sacre the miss. Foul on the rebounding activity. And it's on Elias Harris of Gonzaga, his second.
Just couldn't get in good position. That's a little bit of inexperience there. You can't get it, just run down the other end.
Now let's see what Cincinnati does. Will they adjust and try to get the ball inside, try to draw a foul themselves?
It's a little tougher against the zone, but I agree with you. They got the bookends down there.
Larry Davis. Deontay Vaughn, the quick shot. Good position inside by Steve Toyloy.
He stayed at home and dominated.
Wide body, didn't get up real high, but he certainly cleared some space horizontally.
Harris bounced to the bucket and got it to bounce in. Gonzaga trying to pick up the pace here and get back into that free-flowing offense that they demonstrated the last 2 days.
Like a human pogo stick, isn't he?
I was just thinking he used Toyloy's body to get that extra bounce.
Deion Dixon out of Chicago, Illinois. Larry Davis, Deontay Vaughn. 10 to shoot. Davis out of the corner. Tough shot right in front of his own bench.
But the penetration by Dixon was what set it up.
Nice.
Can't reach.
But that's what running the floor does too. Get a little lazy, not in the defensive stance, skate with the reach in.
Cincinnati by a touchdown. 15 minutes to go. The championship game of the EA Sports Maui Invitational. All 8 teams competed in the Xbox 360 Players Party video game tournament over the weekend at the Sheraton Maui. The finals between Vanderbilt's Darshawn McClellan and Gonzaga's Grant Gibbs. And in the end, the Commodore showed he had the quickest fingers, an 18-14 victory. EA Sports NCAA Basketball 10 was released last week. Features the look and feel of a real ESPN broadcast. The intensity picking up here. The last time they played was in the NCAA tournament back in 2003. So there was plenty of emotion and intensity in that game as well out in Salt Lake City. Gonzaga won the game 74-69 in the West Regional. Robert Sacre makes the free throw. One memorable aspect of that game, the gentleman on your left, legendary figure in Cincinnati, Chuck Mayshock, was thrown out of that game. Hit the West Regional in Salt Lake City. He gave Mike Kitts, one of the officials, a hard time after Bob Huggins had been ejected. And they also took Chuck out of the ball game. So he's got a streak going now. He's made it through the next 197 games without being thrown out of a game.
Well, your pal Dan Horde announces every ball game how many it has been.
That did set a welcome precedent, though, didn't it, of a play-by-play guy getting tossed?
Well, we could certainly feel good about that happening on occasion. You know, mentioned Huggins. I think Cincinnati playing Huggins type of defense right now.
Well, he'd be proud of this effort. Yancey Gates, the shot missed out of bounds. Last touch by Toiloy. Dan Horde, the play-by-play partner there, did his best that day to try. He had Chuck by the back of his belt trying to pull him back into the chair, but Chuck's a passionate UC guy, coached under Bob Huggins, played with Oscar Robertson, and he didn't like the way things were going. Huggins got thrown out of the game, and he got tossed too.
Nice play. And Jay, if you grab his belt and keep him here, I won't speak to you.
By the way, Dan Horde, one of the great play-by-play guys in the country. I hope some Major League Baseball team's smart enough to hire him. He does a wonderful job. I live in New England and listen to him do the Pawtucket Red Sox games in the summer, and he is as good as anybody broadcasting in the Major Leagues.
What, do you have a radio in your cart?
Larry Davis scores for UC. He has 5 off the bench. Goodson short with the runner. Clearly Gonzaga trying to pick up the speed here, and then Bolden called for a reach-in foul after Gates had the rebound. 3 fouls now on Matt Bolden, and that's a concern with still nearly 14 full minutes to go.
Gonzaga went back to man-to-man on that last possession, and Cincinnati was able to get all the way to the rim.
Remember a few minutes ago, Gates took that jump shot a little bit deep. That's because he doesn't get any touches inside.
Yep.
You know, you start drifting out to be part of the game.
They headed back into the zone, 1-2-2. And it looks like a little.
Go straight
right,
up man.
Yep. They're sticking the man. They need to go inside.
This is how they do it. They usually yo-yo the 2 bigs.
Gates, the Gonzaga bench thought he traveled. Run down in the corner by Kashmir Wright. It's a new shot clock for Cincinnati. But they don't use it. Deion Dixon throws in another 3. His first points today, but he's had a terrific tournament. It's a 10-point game and a timeout called by Mark Few.
It's about 300.
Tomorrow, the 76 Classic from the Anaheim Convention Center. Full day of quarterfinal action starting on ESPNU at 2 o'clock. West Virginia will take on Long Beach State. And the rest of the day's action is on ESPN2. Texas A&M and Clemson, Minnesota and Butler. And Portland and UCLA.
Cincinnati is giving their big guys the responsibility of guarding one-on-one in the post, but they have also double-teamed Matt Bolden every time he's come off a ball screen. They've taken him totally out of the game.
And they've gotten him away from the ball screen, using the down screen now, where they do help beautifully.
Oh, just a reach down by Dixon. They had him in the double team. You cannot reach in a double team. Boy, they had a dribble picked up. Bolden catches it, the drive. Now here comes the double. You just can't reach down. That's the reach down there. Just keep your arms up and keep them locked in that double team.
Third foul on Dixon, 8th team foul, so it's a 1-and-1 for Bolden, who's been tremendous from the free throw line in the first 2 games here, 15 out of 15 against Colorado and Wisconsin. And for the year entering tonight, 25 of 28 for 89%. He's 2 out of 3 now from the line this evening.
Interesting to watch coaches work. Mick Cronin take certain guys out of the game for Gonzaga, whether it's Bolden or Gray or Harris, and let the others beat you.
It's exactly what he's doing. It's a percentage play, and their scouting reports, Cincinnati's and a lot of people are very, very detailed. It's up to the players to absorb those details, and Cincinnati clearly has.
Well, we know Mark Few is one of the great coaches in the country as Dixon scores again, but I think you have to be very impressed by how well prepared Mick Cronin and his staff have this Cincinnati team.
Double by Wright, ineffective.
Rare open look for Stephen Gray. Harris on the offensive glass.
Yeah, that all started with Wright doubling, and they never got back in proper space, and I don't think that's what they wanted, Cincy.
Hamlet, don't play with the ball. Don't play with the ball. Use it.
Bolden knocked it out of bounds. Mick Cronin. Given name is Michael.
Don't play with
But
it.
as soon as he came out of the womb, his relatives started calling him Mick. So he was in the first grade. They were doing attendance. Teacher said Michael Crone. He didn't know who they were talking about. I didn't even know my real first name in the first grade.
Oh, there should be a tip. Davis has got to be careful. So demonstrative, not agreeing with it. Now Bolden and he get into it. Very chippy.
Second foul on Gates. The 9th team foul, so the next one will make it the double bonus and 2 free throws the rest of the way for the Zags.
Well, right here, he's got to be smarter. He's got to be smarter than that.
Now, you see, now an official can give you a T on that.
Yeah, but he wasn't moaning about the call. It was just the missed shot and the foul.
In a game that what's happened or transpired before, the tendency might be to calm everybody down. You know what I mean?
Could be.
The foul wasn't even on Davis. It was on Gates. Davis was demonstrative perhaps because he thought it was on him. However, it was not. Davis lost a handle out of bounds. Nighttime in Maui as the clock runs down on the 26th EA Sports Maui Invitational. Each other in the SEC championship game. And almost certainly if Texas finishes undefeated, they will play in that national title game.
A little show early, a half-court trap and back to the straight-up man.
Bolden, who does not have a field goal, sends it to the baseline. A tough shot from Harris to get Gonzaga back within 6. 10 points for the 20-year-old freshman from Germany. With a lot of international experience. Played the European Championships against some NBA players. Tough shot by Dixon. Rebounded by Bolden.
They need to look inside.
Instead, they stay outside, and an elusive 3 finally buried by Gray. A quick blitz by Gonzaga, and a quick timeout from Mick Cronin. Mick Cronin in Cincinnati. They've watched a 10-point lead very quickly become 3, a 7-0 run for Gonzaga over the last minute and 42 seconds.
Harris 5 for 8 got them going, and then this deep jack getting the feet set. Nice little brush screen, sets it up. A little nylon from deep. Now they need Bolden to join forces, and they may have something going since he's got to buckle down.
2-1-2, 3/4 court pressure.
And a lob, and count it. Boy, it looked like that might not get through, and Deontay Vaughn threw it up there. But he was able to complete it to Lance Stevenson, who'll have a chance for a 3-point play.
Out of the timeout, and what a great setup. Unbelievable. And the courage to make this look, Jay, pretty good. Completion.
Looked like Gonzaga was a little slow getting back into their matchup zone, and Stevenson took advantage of it. He was in the corner as they advanced it, and just went baseline. A pretty pass.
A little momentum stopper, perhaps. Foul on Harris was his 3rd. 3-point play by Stevenson has given Cincinnati a 6-point advantage. Long way to go. 10.5 minutes remaining.
Cincinnati sticking with the 1-2-2 zone. They've been in for a couple possessions now, and that's how Stephen Gray got open.
Trying to match those steps.
Sacre well guarded by Toyloy, and then Dixon called for bumping Stephen Gray, and that's the 4th foul on Deion Dixon.
Just a little pump fake and the bite.
Even though the fouls are piling up, not sure whether Cincinnati's going to want to stick in this zone for a long period of time. Man-to-man is their primary defense. It's what they play. They're just going to need to play it without fouling, in my judgment.
I'm with you. I think they're trying to rest a little bit, though. But I agree. They have been so dominant. Taking people out of sets, balls, doubling the ball screen.
The double bonus. Gonzaga will shoot 2 the rest of the way. Of course, those technicals jumped up the team foul numbers obviously as well. But Dixon sits with 4. Gates is back in. Toyloy goes out. Stephen Gray has taken center stage. He started a play on the campus of Gonzaga before the season started. A starting role in a play called Take Me Out. And the coaches said, He was outstanding. Leon Rice, one of the assistants, said I was so nervous. It was like one of my own children was up there in a school play, but he did a great job. He's done a great job helping get Gonzaga right back in it here in the second half.
Oh, big-time rebound there by Bishop.
Bishop's another guy who's had a really good tournament.
See, it stops here once in a while.
Stevenson gets it to go. That's the form he used to become the all-time leading scorer in high school basketball in New York State. Better than 2,900 points. Sacre fouled inside. Bolden handed it off to him, and Sacre took a pretty good hit.
That's the way to give the foul, though. If he would do this a little quicker, I think it would help the team, Jay. You know, make a quicker move, kind of. Everybody sort of stands still, and the defense can get settled. Pretty good speed by Nick, huh?
Hey, Jay, help me!
The coach is always the quickest to go from offense to defense.
Sacre missed the free throw. He's 2 out of 4 from the line. 3 fouls now on Stevenson. Sacre limited to 5 games last season, a foot injury. Sidelined him for most of the year. He's off to a great start this year. At 13-6 yesterday against Wisconsin in just 20 minutes, had foul trouble. He was 7 for 7 from the line last night. He has 7 points as he goes out now. More than midway through the second half. It's the EA Sports Maui Invitational Championship game. Stevenson lost it on the dribble. Goodson with that great speed. Vaughn fouled him.
Pretty heady play by Goodson, because I think Vaughn thought he could scrape it. A misadventure on the offense. Right here, I think he tries to go back. He just gets a piece of the arm as well, but it's tough to catch. That blow by.
Stevenson just trying to do a little too much on the other end. Led to 3 points for Gonzaga. Now we got a 1-possession game again.
That was just the first foul on Vaughn. Kashmir Wright, redshirt freshman, just beginning his collegiate career. With the ball in a big spot for Cincinnati. Gates is doubled. Will Foster at 7-5 in the game, and he hit Gates on the arm.
A nice little move, huh? Trying to create some space. Got to keep those arms straight up.
Just muscled his way through that opening to get into the lane and get an angle to the basket.
Danny Fortson-like, you think?
A little bit.
Kind of body.
First foul on Foster puts Gonzaga over the limit. Gates' first free throw spins off.
And both coaches working hard.
It's just the 4th free throw of the game for Cincinnati. They're now 3 for 4. Gonzaga's 12 out of 17 from the line. The Bulldogs have hit their last 5 from the field to cut that 10-point deficit down to 3 at the moment. The 10-point lead for Cincinnati was the Bearcats' largest.
At the man-to-man.
Nice step through.
There's that second pass out of the double team.
And there's Goodson rising to the occasion here late. 13 for Dimitri Goodson. 1 point shy of his career high. That was earlier this year against IPFW.
And Jay, that's a wrinkle they've added the second half. The post to get it to somebody. They were not providing the first pass.
Vaughn open from the corner. Rebound Bolden, and now a chance for the lead from Gonzaga.
Cincinnati not making Gonzaga guard him on the other end.
Bolden. Foster tipped it, but it wound up with Kashmir Wright.
That's one of the first looks Bolden has had.
Shot by Gates. Tried a one-hander over Foster. Stephen Gray. The lob for Foster, and it was knocked away by Gates. Vaughn quickly the other way.
Inopportune pass to the big fella.
There's nothing for him to do with it there.
Yeah.
Gray went by Vaughn, who came on the run out. Harris, long. Gray tipped it up, but nobody there for Gonzaga. And we get to immediate timeout.
Pretty good, huh?
It has picked up in intensity, and we should have a great finish from Maui. To finish 7th in the Big East preseason coaches poll. They finished 9th last year. Steady improvement. We mentioned the mess that he inherited. And last year 18 and 14, a bubble team in late February before they finished on the slide, lost 6 of their last 7. They are clearly better than they were a year ago with the addition of Stevenson, right healthy after sitting out last year with a knee injury. Bishop is open.
With the clock. Play on.
Zachary and Gates are pushing and shoving each other. Gates got to be a little careful coming off that hedge.
Old Kong has come in for Gonzaga, number 34. Bolden, he got bumped. Got called for a travel.
The bump caused the walk. You're right, Sean, but he's getting into the thick a little bit better. Really solid control. Hasn't forced anything of late.
I'll tell you, for the most part, Cincinnati has really taken him completely out of this game.
No question.
Their game plan has worked beautifully. They have it right there at the end of this game.
Vaughn. Cincinnati again. Leaning heavily on the 3-ball. Goodson, the pull-up from the free throw line, got his own rebound and was stripped. Excellent hands. It was Kashmir Wright who poked it away. And it's Lance Stevenson who finishes, and he has 13 points.
Well, what an assist by Wright. Spectacular. Keeping those hands active.
Little Princeton set here. Shin series. Lift and spread this Cincinnati defense.
They're not as aggressive on the perimeter denial now. I think fatigue part of the factor here.
Third game in 3 days for both of these teams. Sacre shooting over Gates. That was pretty.
Solid play. Nobody forced it. Kong didn't jack it up. Found an entry.
And he took his time, didn't he? They tried to post up Bolden, couldn't get him the ball, and then he just pulled his way into the middle of the lane.
Nice hands by Sacre here.
Defending Nancy Gates, who threw up a wild running hook.
He is struggling first with size and now with strength. Foster initially, and now Sacre using that bulk to make it a tough delivery.
Now a 3 would tie it for Gonzaga, under 5 to go.
The same thing they just ran.
Well, look how they backed off on the aggressive D.
There goes Bolden down into the post.
And Yancey's not going bite.
Even Gray, he knew it was off. He went running after it. And it was out of bounds, last touched by Robert Sacre.
There are some bodies flying out there. Physical defense by Cincinnati.
Guys are starting to droop a little bit, aren't they?
Even though Gates missed that last opportunity, I think he got going a little bit too fast. And he made that move in the post. I still think that Cincinnati needs to look inside. Play inside out.
Deion Dixon playing with 4 fouls. Stevenson from the elbow, a little short. Bolden controlled the rebound.
Well, he is a tough rebounder, too.
A tough pass. Harris got collared down to the ground. It'll be Gonzaga's ball. A rebound, by the way, Bolden was his 9th, so even on a night when some of his game's been off, he's contributed significantly on the glass.
Yeah, he averages a little over 5 a game, and wow.
That was a face mask.
15.
Our 15-yard penalty for pass interference there. Bolden for 3 and the tie.
Toughest guy, the inbounder.
First field goal of the night for Matt Bolden.
Nice help. They don't go for Toyloy on the block. It's going to be at the dribble drive or jack.
Cashmere right with the response for Cincinnati.
Woo. Cashmere, smooth.
Goodson the miss.
Looked like he slipped when he was going up with it.
He did.
Right to push. And Dixon thought about the quick jack and then thought better of it. 3:20 to go. And now the youngster, redshirt freshman Wright, will pull it out. He was a highly recruited player coming out of high school from Savannah, Georgia. Nice. Dixon is open. Just a little bit long. He had a great look at it. Stephen Gray, his 6th rebound.
A little roll replace action. Can't get a better shot.
Stephen Gray rattles one home. And they're exchanging 3 balls now.
And you can see Cincinnati not as aggressive. Dixon tardy coming up on the challenge.
Well, you have to expect that Gonzaga is going to make some shots. It's up to Cincinnati to execute on the offensive end.
All perimeter right now. How clever was that?
Right split the defense. It sets up an open 3 out of the corner. Dixon missed it, and there's the 10th rebound of the night for Matt Bolden.
And when your guards can go down and rebound like that, you're going to be in it with anybody.
And he checked Stevenson out, too. No way he was going to get a piece of it.
Well, the coaches both said rebounding would be the key, and that's been an even battle. Right now, it's Gonzaga 31 rebounds to 29 for Cincinnati. Timeout, tie game. Some clutch 3-point field goals made down the stretch on both sides. Finally, Bolden got a field goal to drop. Well, the joy wasn't long-lasting for Gonzaga as Wright had the response. Gray another for the Zags. And with the Wayne Duke Trophy up for grabs, we're tied at 53. 2:15 to go. The trophy named for Wayne Duke, longtime commissioner of the Big Ten Conference and longtime tournament director here. He handed that off to Dave Gavitt. And then this year, Dave handed it off to Dave Odom. And I think all 3 of those gentlemen who played a role in this event have to be proud, again, of the way this tournament has played out, and particularly this spirited championship game.
No question. And both these teams are going to grow from this experience, but especially for a team like Cincinnati, how important this is for them to learn how to win in this kind of an environment.
And Wayne Duke, Big Ten football, he loved this style. Banging, knocking one of them down. A lot of excitement. And I just admired Gonzaga, how they start to handle the ball screen. Did some things. Bolden played within himself. It doesn't come smoothly every night. And you mentioned the rebound. He does anything to help his team win.
And one thing I don't think that gets enough attention is how Gonzaga defends. I mean, they're so much better defensively and so much tougher. It's one thing, Cincinnati's done a great job holding Gonzaga to 53 points, but Gonzaga has done a good job defensively and on the glass.
And some man and some zone. Good combo.
Well, good discussion there by the filibuster twins. Just in mid-season form, and we're still in Maui. Gonzaga's ball. Their last lead was at 9-7 with 12:45 remaining in the first half. Whoa! Bolden started to cut to the bucket. Goodson threw it behind him, and then Bolden pointed his chest and said, "That's my bad." 2:06 to go. In that memorable championship game to Connecticut, one day after they played the memorable semifinal triple overtime game, which they won against Michigan State. Stevenson shut off by Bolden, then went the other way to get by Bolden.
Attacking the basket. Great individual move by Stevenson, but I'll tell you, a big difference in this game has been the free throw line. Gonzaga has been getting to the free throw line, and Cincinnati has not. Only 4 free throw attempts for the Bearcats.
Well, you dropped your jaw on that move, by the way. Oh, man, he just protected the ball, took over.
Tremendous talent. Mick Crone thinks he could wind up as the National Freshman of the Year, Lance Stevenson. Shot wouldn't drop for Sacre, and here comes Cincinnati now. A 2-point lead, the ball, 1:15 to go.
Harris was right there for an offensive rebound and just took an extra bounce.
It did.
And Mick Cronin calls a timeout. Sports Center comes your way next on ESPN.
Gifted offensive player.
Maybe the 12th best high school player in the country by ESPN.com last year.
Remaining in regulation time.
Wouldn't you like to see the other 11?
Yeah. Here's Stevenson. They put the ball in the freshman's hands with under a minute to go. 5 seconds to shoot. And he takes a deep three. No good. Gray the rebound. 2 to tie. 3 for the lead for Gonzaga.
Not a good timeout. Didn't get much going.
Timeout, Gonzaga. That'll leave Mark Few with 1. In shades of 2005 when they played a nail biter that went right down to the buzzer for the championship. Adam Morrison and the Zags taking on a Connecticut team, one of the best in the country. Came down to the final seconds. And the hero was the Canadian Denham Brown with a tough shot over Morrison. 65-63 the final. Third-ranked Connecticut left with the Wayne Duke Trophy.
And that put Denham Brown on the map, and Jay as well in Canada. He became renowned for his ridicule of Canadian basketball.
He once scored 100 points in a game in Canada. Denham Brown, a high school game, and Jay basically...
That's like me saying I scored 10 goals in a hockey game in high school.
Yeah, but you can't skate.
Exactly.
Well, where do you think they go here? They've got a lot of nice options on offense, Gonzaga.
Stephen Gray would be my first option, but it'd be interesting to see if they go to a ball screen. If they do use the ball screen, it is the second pass that will get them the open shot.
They like to run Bolden 2 down into a post-up. Let's see if they do that. A double
20
screen.
seconds to shoot. 30 in the game. Goodson. Not much developing right now. The handoff to Gray was almost intercepted by Larry Davis. 10 to shoot. 20 in the game. Sacre rolls to the bucket. Sacre scores to tie it.
Great poise.
Stevenson's going to get the ball, and Mick Cronin wants him to go one-on-one. Let the freshman phenom make a play to win the game.
He better go now.
5 seconds to go. Stevenson lobs it up. Sacre blocked Gates. Heave it. The buzzer will not go, and will go to overtime. Mick Cronin on the court hollering he wanted a foul on Sacre as he went up to the rim to deny Yancey Gates.
That is not exactly what they wanted. I know it took a lot of courage to make that play. You've got to go to the rim, and if the defense draws, then throw it up.
No question, but that's sometimes what you get when you put the ball in the hands of a freshman in a late game situation like that. He wanted the phenom to take the shot. Good idea on the pass, but I would have rather had him attack the basket, like you say. Great screen roll, and what a catch and stop. You could have easily charged there.
Great point. Absolutely. And down the other end, well, Sacre used the same play where he turns first the catch, but the options they have is what makes this team a tough out. And right here,
well, that's a fair play. Was a foul.
And look at who's right there for the rebound. Bolden.
Yeah, there's no question that was a foul.
Well, Mick Cronin was livid. He came out to the middle of the court and was...
I think they made some nice adjustments. Got the ball screen. Jay mentioned the extra pass, but it's been Sacre who's a terrific out. I just thought he should have gone sooner right here, Jay.
No question.
You know, and all of a sudden, you mentioned there was a foul at the end of it, but a lot of officials, you're not going to get that kind of...
It's tough to get. Yeah. You're right.
As soon as they got the defensive rebound and started up the court, about 15 seconds to go, Mick Cronin came off the bench and pointed at Stevenson, said give him the ball, and basically just should get out of the way. And it shows how much he thinks of his talent and poise, his readiness to be in that situation so early in his freshman year.
And that's that 1-4. And the reason I don't like the 1-4 is because if it's played well, it ends up with a tough shot. Now, that was a pass that we didn't expect from that deep on the floor, but it is confidence and a great talent at a young age.
And again, you wonder about fatigue as we go to overtime. Third game in 3 days, and now an extra session. And it could come down to a foul shooting contest on tired legs. Both teams are in the bonus. And the opening tip of overtime controlled by Yancey Gates. Deontay Vaughn guarded by Dimitri Goodson. This is Lance Stevenson with Bolden on him.
Nice job. Bolden's done a good job on Stevenson, too.
Dixon open. It was kept alive by Gates, or excuse me, by Stevenson, then to Gates. And the Gonzaga bench wanted a foul called on Cincinnati, and Mark Hughes asking the officials to confer because he thinks they might have had different calls.
The outside official was going to go the other way and backed off, deferring. Look at this kid go to the rim now. He may have stepped under.
Sacre called for the third foul. The 8th team foul. This is a shooting foul, so a two-shot opportunity for Yancey Gates. He's 2 out of 3 from the line tonight. That one's way off.
Needs to stay on the line. He's backing off just a bit as he releases it.
61 thus far this year, 71 last. 50. What is it, John?
58.
58. I'm looking at the wrong number.
1 out of 2 there. First point of overtime for Cincinnati.
Inside screen.
Sacre, quick move, fouled by Bishop.
They can give him the ball. Most big guys, you got to get it to him with a foot in the paint or on the lane. You can give it to Elias Harris 2-3 steps off the lane. He's patient. He waits for space to clear, and then he can take his man in a one-on-one move. It's like a pro move.
I'll tell you, they're very tough to defend because there's so many people that can do that for this team. Take the ball to the rim or pull up.
But Harris made the first free throw. He's 71% for the year coming in.
I think Harris is the only big guy I'd feel comfortable giving it to that far off the lane.
First lead since early in the first half for Gonzaga. Toyloy returns for Cincinnati. It's Vaughn with the ball with Stevenson, Gates, Toyloy, and Dixon.
Gates with that pick in the backcourt. It reminds me of Wes Unseld. He's the big body.
Gates, Sacre defending, and Gray looking to double if need be. 1 minute gone by in overtime.
Nick Cronin directing traffic over on the bench.
Bolden is worked hard too.
Stevenson blocking foul called, and again the Gonzaga bench in an uproar. Goodson called for his third foul.
Well, they have spaced magnificently. Always looking to assist one another. You mentioned Gray looking to help on the double, and he may have put the shoulder in forward. That's why they didn't get the call. But knowing where to be, extraordinary.
The 9th team foul, so this will be a 1-and-1, and then it'll be the double bonus hereafter for Cincinnati. Stevenson's made his only free throw of the night. That one hopped out. Elias Harris the rebound.
Harris looks unbelievably fresh, doesn't he?
He does. Just a lock low.
Give it to him.
And they ride him.
They clear the side and let him go to work.
Harris' shot short, and then Sacre knocked Deontay Vaughn to the deck, and that's the 4th on Robert Sacre. For his career, 81 last year, and his first free throw tonight.
Wow, what a valuable asset to have him on the line, generally speaking. As you noted, 83 coming into tonight.
That was in and out.
Yeah.
On his way to becoming just the second 2,000 career point scorer at Cincinnati, but couldn't score at all on that trip. Of course, Oscar Robertson, the other, and he scored almost 3,000 points in 3 years. Bolden, quick turn and shoot, and off the mark, and Harris is over the back. Sacre there as well. Sacre hoping it's not against him, and it is on Harris, but Sacre terminated the whistle because he knows if it's on him, it's his fifth.
That was close. He almost got a piece of that. Harris very active on the glass.
That was a Harris call game. And we'll shoot two during the double bonus. That was nicely done.
%60, 2 for 4 coming in, or 2 for 5.
Trying to break the sixth tie of the game. He does not. Harris the rebound. His fifth.
Cincinnati not as aggressive, Jay, guarding. Obviously fatigue a factor too, but backing off just a tiny bit.
The starting five for Gonzaga, and they played a ton of minutes over these 3 games. We mentioned Bolden and Gray had played at least 37 in each of the first 2.
Harris wanted to take Toiloy. Well, not a bad idea. Away from the goal. Pretty. Beautiful. How about that roll? And 5.
Really taking advantage of Yancey Gates on the ball screen. He stepped in, and Sacre just rolled right to the rim. The great delivery. What a play.
And all of this is the running up and down the floor in the first half. Gradually the fatigue. And where does it generally show? Defense. Guys just don't perform as aggressively.
Timeout, Cincinnati. Matches Gonzaga's biggest lead of the night. For Gonzaga as we go inside the play.
Jay, we're talking about the fatigue factor. The show not quite as aggressive.
Well, Yancey Gates, number 34, not stepping up. When he does step up, he doesn't recover very well. The great pass to Robert Sacre and the terrific finish. Just not particularly well defended by Yancey Gates. Took advantage of some poor footwork defensively on the perimeter.
And Stephen Gray with a nice fade dribble just to protect and get away from the defense. Extraordinary.
The Gonzaga bench, we talked about how much the starters have played tonight. The Gonzaga bench has just 1 bucket from the bench, and that was the lob that would have won the game for Cincinnati.
A little zone now. Stephen Gray, the guy that made the passes on both those highlights. Offensive rebounding now is the concern for the Zags. Conversely, a good shot and hold off low for the Bearcats.
Nice. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Stevenson a little short. Deion Dixon jumped early. And it'll be Gonzaga's ball after a moment reflection by Patrick Evans. And
a nice job by Goodson. He could have just as well stayed outside and not gotten involved in the checkout.
The 2-point lead, the biggest of the night for the Zags, and a chance to build on it. Now with 2 minutes to go in overtime. All the men on the floor for Gonzaga tonight have played at least 36 minutes.
Timeout. That's the post up, though, Jay. Goodson got there late. Take your pick there.
Gonzaga with 6 to shoot. Bolden dribbles to an open shot. It was short, tipped around. Harris had it. Then he got fouled by Yancey Gates.
Always around the ball. Elias Harris, his energy, his activity, very productive as a result.
And Bolden not shooting the ball as well as we're accustomed to. Had a good, decent look.
Harris 12 points, 2 out of 3 from the line. 2-shot opportunity, missed the first. They're both tired.
Oh, no question.
Cincinnati just 2 out of 7 in free throws in the overtime.
Jay and I are tired for a different reason. We've been with you for 5 days.
You think back to that triple overtime game here in 05 when Gonzaga beat Michigan State. Gonzaga in that game made their last 27 free throws.
Michigan State didn't miss many either.
Pinned down and locked.
Michigan State missed 3 free throws all night. Gonzaga went 27 for 28. They missed their first, then made the last 27. Largest lead for Gonzaga. It's still a 1-possession game as we approach a minute left in overtime. Deontay Vaughn, he's still at 6 on the shot clock, and it goes out to Gonzaga.
There's your guy Harris again. He competes on the glass.
He is in on every play.
Tough D now if you're Cincinnati. Get a stop, plenty of time.
Cincinnati's hit just one of their last 11 three-point field goals. You don't want to foul him if they get into that situation. He's their best on the floor.
Nice ball reversal.
Harris, the call for travel. Thought he might have traveled when he first got the ball. He kind of took a hop first and then dribbled.
Tried to get into the jump stop mode. Not much area there to slither through.
A lot of big bodies, some bumping going on.
This is a go to the rim situation for Cincinnati. Not a settled deep.
Problem is they don't have a ton of slashers. They got some guys that can go off the dribble. The best is Lance Stevenson.
Vaughn. Nick Cronin didn't like the way that was going. A lot of dribbling on the perimeter. Cincinnati due out of the timeout.
I would think Stevenson, to be honest with you. Jay, you're saying not many slashers, but he's the kind of kid that can use some strength to create some cracks.
If he can get something going to the rim, either finish the play. This doesn't need to be a last shot scenario, but you can also kick it out if you drive to an open shooter and get a three stepping into it.
Right with the much bigger Sacre. He goes right by Sacre, and Gates on the right spot to dump it in. And a timeout Cincinnati to set up the defense with 12.5 to go. And the Bearcats are out of timeouts.
The situation where on the K try for a steal. You want to extend the game. 12-6 left. And be alert.
They sent Goodson deep. They throw it
Bolden
into Sacre. He's trying to get it back to Bolden. And they foul Sacre, who's a good free throw shooter. Came into tonight's action at 71% for the year. And he would have liked to have given it back to Bolden, who's
I like
a much
Bolden.
better free throw shooter.
He showed me something there, Bolden. He wanted the ball to get fouled. And Sacre probably a little anxious with two guys around him to maybe commit a turnover.
He's 3 out of 5 from the line tonight.
Getting there awfully early. I was not an early arrival on the foul line. Were you?
But you typically stay late.
Across the foul line on occasion.
2 fouls on Vaughn, so he's not in danger. And these are huge free throws. They'll be 2. The double bonus both ways.